Taco Tuesday. It's Taco Tuesday. Come on. It's Taco Tuesday. It's TacoTuesday.com. Taco Tuesday. It's Taco Tuesday. It's Taco Tuesday. It's Taco Tuesday.
All right, everybody. Welcome back to a very special edition of the TacoTuesday.com podcast. Happy Halloween and Taco Tuesday. How much luckier can we get? You have your hosts. We're Corey and Tony. We have our guest host, Crawford. Welcome back yet again.
Hello, hello.
Always a pleasure. Today, we have a very special guest. We have Allegra Garcia, the queen of San Juan Capistrano. She does guided haunted tours in San Juan Capistrano.
Spooky.
Welcome to the show.
Thanks. I'm so happy to be here.
So, I guess a natural starting point would be, how did you get into doing these tours?
I love scary movies, and Halloween is my jam, and they had an audition a few years ago. I auditioned, and I think because I live the furthest south between everyone, they said, let's stick her in San Juan, but it just, it was meant to be. I truly love the city, and they have a lot of great history, and I'm Halloween every day of the year.
So what's your favorite scary movie?
The original Halloween and The Exorcist.
That's scary. That's scary.
That's very edgy.
Yeah. So my name was originally supposed to be Reagan, and I was born around the time that the movie came out, and then my mom said, hell no. So it was Allegra. Go figure.
So, you love scary movies. You're obviously at least somewhat interested in the paranormal. When I was growing up, the house that I was in, the laundry room was absolutely a haunted wasteland. The light would flicker when you would open the door. It was the damnedest thing. Even when the switch was off, the lights would still flicker. So, And I grew up with all my cousins and my sister in this house. And so we would all team up, get together to go to the laundry room in a group, throw our dirty clothes on the floor and then run away from it.
You just didn't want to do laundry.
We were terrified.
It was like the heater in Home Alone. Like when you run yeah, you're just like, no, gotta get out.
Yeah, it was terrifying. I think even in my
Where did you grow up?
Laguna Hills.
Oh.
Yeah, there was no reason for it to be haunted per se, but something latched onto the property.
He didn't want to do laundry.
Well, so this area all around Orange County and South Orange County was originally indigenous land, and it was the Ahashiman and the Tongva. And if you know anything about California history, pretty much the Spanish came in and enslaved them and said, here's your new name, and you're going to become Catholic. And if you don't like it, too bad. So if you believe in anything about land absorbing emotional energy, there could be a lot of trauma associated with such things.
I really wouldn't be surprised. Every bit of land on Earth has definitely been fought over, and pretty terrible things have happened sort of everywhere. So it really wouldn't shock me at all if the people from the past were not pleased with the outcome of what other people came and did.
Yeah.
Yeah, isn't San Juan known for a lot of haunted stuff?
San Juan is. So, like I said, the Ahashiman were the original caretakers of the land. The Spanish came in. The Ahashiman were the ones who actually built the adobes and San Juan Capistrano, the Los Rios district.
That's what I was about to ask you, because I went to the tea house a couple of weeks ago, and then I hear that street is
it's one of the oldest streets in California. Some of the homes are 200 years old.
Whoa.
And there's a lot of historical significance there. The tea house, you have the Ramos house, you have the Los Rios house, and then you also have, it used to be called the Hummingbird Cafe, but it is the home of Modesta Avila, who was the first convicted felon in Orange County. Whoa. They pretty much came and they built railroad tracks right up against her house. And she said, you're going to pay me $10,000. And they were like, no. So the rumor is that she strung her laundry right across the railroad tracks to say, well, here you go then. But it was actually a beam. Oh. And so they came and removed it, and she ended up being convicted for 3 years in San Quentin. and she supposedly died while in prison. But there's no real record of how she actually died. And some say that she was able to get out and released and she ended up living out her days, but no one really knows.
That's crazy.
So, I mean, we talk about kind of haunted OC, but kind of walk people through what it is that you guys kind of offer as far as like services, like tours, guides, I mean, educating people. I mean, there's obviously a ton of history in San Juan. For anybody who doesn't know the city, we've got the mission down there. I mean, there's a lot of history to unpack in that little town. So what do you actually what can people expect when they kind of contact you to look into what you do?
So one of the things that we are is we're historical haunted history. So not only we're not paranormal investigators, but we do offer you the spooky stories behind everything, but it's also got legit facts. And it's all legit what people in San Juan and surrounding cities. I get people all the time from Dana Point, Laguna Hills, who will tell me, they'll pull me aside and they'll say, this has happened to me in my house. Or I had a woman who owned a salon in Dana Point this season. She said her salon was haunted. But we're going to give you the true history behind everything. And with Haunted Orange County, we have a bunch of different cities. We have Old Town Orange, Santa Ana, Fullerton. So you're going to get real factual information along with not only people's accounts of their paranormal encounters, but also the stories and the legends and what is actually truth versus just legends and lore.
Do you guys do this all year round?
Yep, we are year round.
Where can people book them?
So they can go to hauntedorangecounty.com. I think it's hauntedoc.com. But most of us do 2 a month. We get to pick our own schedule. But around September is when things really get crazy, and we're usually Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
How long have you been doing the tours?
I've been doing 3 years.
3 years?
Yeah.
Have you had any sort of experiences of note while you were conducting a tour where maybe you saw something and people, noticed that something happened?
So during my tours, if you've been down to San Juan,
yes.
There's a lot happening, audio, visual, there's a lot happening down there. So I really, at first, it was really distracting because I would feel things over at the mission. But I've really learned that I have to block everything out because I have to compete with all the bars and the venues and restaurants. So I really try to concentrate on what stories I'm giving. But the mission for sure is where I have felt the most energy.
And a lot of people go to the mission.
But it's interesting because I get a lot of people on my tours who will tell me that they feel things on Los Rios Street, but not at the mission. But I also get people who will say, I feel things at the mission, but not on Los Rios Street.
And all the homes in San Juan are like really historic homes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because at the tea house, Damien runs it now, but it's his grandparents and they live in the back in the Victorian home. It's a beautiful home.
So in order to actually have a business on Los Rios Street, you have to reside on the property. I think they made an exception with the Modesta Avila house because the train still comes right there.
So which one was her home, or is it a restaurant now?
It's now a boutique.
Is it the one that has like all those little like
the
clothing signs?
Yes.
Oh, I've been in there.
Yeah.
Isn't that right behind Trevor's at the tracks?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and it's right before you go to the tea house.
Yes.
But I actually had a guest last year who her ex-husband grew up in the tea house. And she told me to go talk to them because she said that he grew up having paranormal experiences all the time in there. But every time I go there, they're really busy. But maybe you can hook me up with the people that know.
I'll be going in there for an exclusive thing. You guys, I'll let you know. And what about that have you seen the little Airbnb thing they rent out now?
Uh-huh. So that's owned by the same realtor that owns the Modesta Avila house. She rents it out for Airbnb.
Have you heard of anybody that stays there overnight and like said a story or anything?
No, I haven't. But I've been inside of that boutique as well. What did you feel? I felt very heavy.
Yes. I left.
Yeah. It was very
Bye.
thick.
Was it good or bad though?
No,
I mean, was
bad.
It just was different. It was a very thick
It's weird. You can't explain
energy.
it. You just want to get out of there. You're like,
Yeah.
bye.
All right, guys, welcome back. We had a little bit of an emergency here. Crawford had a unforeseen event to come up. I think we can carry on where we left off now.
We left off at the San Juan little store, boutique store.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
the Modesta Avila house.
Okay.
I didn't spend too long in there
Me
either,
either.
just because
I didn't buy nothing.
Yeah. But that's how I am. Like I am not an investigator, but I love to go into haunted, and I like when I travel, I seek out other tours because I like to go into places that are so-called haunted because I want to see what I see, feel, and experience, and then I like to hear the story so I can get validation of whether, you know.
See, I didn't even know that was the house. And now that you're telling me, I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, growing up in that, I'm convinced it was haunted. I'm absolutely certain. I've always
I don't doubt it.
sought out the same experiences. You know, my birthday's 7 days before Halloween every year.
Ooh.
So I've always kind of done haunted birthdays or spooky themed, whatever.
That's crazy.
Just this last week, my wife and I took a trip up to San Jose to visit the
awesome.
Winchester House. It was incredible. I mean, I'd heard stories about it. I didn't know really very much, but I didn't even know we were going to have the opportunity to do something haunted like that. And then I find out that it's in the city we were visiting. So,
Oh, very cool.
yeah, we sort of impromptu made a stop over to go check it out.
Yeah, that house is a trip.
It's very wild.
It's very wild. She was on some. They said she would have seances like every night.
Mm-hmm. And it was actually in
Wait,
America.
what is
it was,
that?
Sarah Winchester at the Winchester House, she would communicate with the spirits for them to tell her how she should build her house, and she literally built it for like how many years?
So it's a kind of an interesting story. It was the longest residential construction project in the United States. It took 38 years for them to build the house, and I did hear the story that she would contact the dead to get
help
advice
her?
on how to build the house.
Yeah.
And it kind of shows when you walk around it.
Yeah,
You know, it's pretty wild.
yeah, it's crazy.
How big is that house?
It's pretty
it's
big.
enormous.
It's a
I mean,
mansion.
Oh.
It's huge.
yeah, I think they said it was like 15,000 square feet.
Oh.
Don't quote me on that, but it was massive.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
You know that they actually used to do a lot of seances in San Juan because in the 1800s or the late 1800s is when the Ouija spiritualism was really popular, and the Ouija board was invented in the late 1800s. So they used to. It was just a parlor entertaining game. They used to do them over in the cemeteries and in the hills and on Los Rios Street. So fast forward to 2023, you have all these paranormal shows out with these modernized equipment
Yeah.
where people are investigating. And if you're opening up doorways all the time, who knows? Who knows what you're...
Did you guys ever play with the board?
Nope. Never.
Okay.
I have a
Crazy.
couple times, and I actually, I like to believe,
Oh, no.
you know, so I've
My-
actually got one on my shirt.
My
Yeah.
aunt's
I
friend...
love to look at them.
My aunt's friend used to play with one, and she would tell me that she would go to the cemetery. I was like,
Oh,
she is
wow.
crazy.
Yeah, no. I actually have a weird fascination and attraction to them so much where I've wanted to like collect them. But I'm even afraid of having it in my house because I too have had weird things happen in my house. And you have to have a safe place.
Mm-hmm.
And even when I go on my tours, I treat spirits like people. I talk to them before I'm coming down for a tour. I let them know, hey, now's not the time for you to try to communicate with me. I have to tell your stories. I give them boundaries just like I do people. And I say, I'll come on my off days and visit you. And that'll be my, acknowledgement.
So do you
Almost
feel...
like paying respect.
Yeah.
You know.
So you feel energy everywhere you go?
I do. I do. And animals a lot of times sense energy. And if your animal doesn't like a person, pretty much you can trust.
That is literally...
That's been a
trust your
go-to for me
animal.
forever.
That is 100% true, right?
Yeah. And I kind of follow the same thing. If my gut is telling me to a person, maybe not so much, I kind of listen to it. And
And they say babies also, right?
yeah, children are I think children are probably very open because they have that they're not scathed.
No, that
they're
total
not
absolute
scathed
innocence.
by life. And just like adulting, I think as kids, we fear so much growing up is, the boogeyman and stuff like that. And as we grow older, I think adulting hardens us and we're like, oh, that's not so bad.
Right.
Can't pay your bills? That's pretty fucking scary.
That's a lot scarier than a ghost in the closet.
Have you heard of that street going towards Laughlin, like on your way to Vegas?
No.
I think it's
the bridge?
I think it's Z. It has like a lot of
Zizix Road, something like that.
You exit, like you could either go straight to go to Vegas or you could exit through that street and it takes you to Laughlin.
Mm-mm.
A long time ago, me and my best friend were going to Laughlin. So we didn't want to go that route though, but our phone actually rerouted us that route. So we had to exit that street. And it's like just a long street, one way there, one way out. And we were like driving. It was pitch black dark because it was around like probably midnight because we left late. We kept seeing like car lights coming towards us and the car never passed us.
I think I've heard about that. I've never been, but I want to say I've heard about stuff like that.
And we just stayed quiet in the car, and then we like looked at each other after a little bit. And we're like, "Did you just notice that?"
So, have you ever been to Tombstone, Arizona?
No.
Highly recommend it.
Where's that?
Arizona.
Like, where exactly is it around?
I want to say it's not near Phoenix. It's like an hour and some change away from Phoenix. But if you ever seen the movie Tombstone,
Yes,
that's one of my
movie.
favorite all-time movies, along with my best friend. So we made a pilgrimage one October to go, and we're thinking it's gonna be like, for me, October is my busy season. I'm completely booked. So we thought, oh, it's gonna be crowded. It's gonna be so much fun. We pull up.
Nobody?
It's literally a ghost town. And we're like, what is happening? We pull into our hotel. We're like the only ones there. So it's kind of scary for that aspect right there. Then we, take a walk down the strip, empty. So we're like, whatever. So we go into this restaurant because we're starving. We're like the only ones there. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to go wash my hands really quick. So I go to the restroom. I come back from the restroom and I'm just livid. And I'm just like, we got to go. And my friend's like, but we're starving. Like, we've been driving 11 hours. And I'm like, no, I just want to hit someone right now. I just am so mad. And so she's like, okay, whatever. So we get up and we walk out. So the next day or two, we're on our ghost tour and we're talking to the guides and we're like, hey, have you ever heard of that Mexican restaurant? It's like a bed and breakfast. And they're like, they just look at each other. And the girlfriend goes, I used to work in there. And she goes, and I don't know what's in that bathroom. Oh. She goes, but there's something not right in there. And my friend looks at me and she goes, you were fine until you went into the bathroom. And I was like, that was creepy.
That is so weird. Like, you take the energy with you when you walk out of there.
Yeah.
That is so creepy. So how do you keep the energy away from you while you're like when you're doing these tours?
I don't think you necessarily do, but I'm always drained. I'm always drained after.
Is that what happens when you're around like a lot of energy? It just drains you?
See, I don't know. I don't know if that's that or if it's just being on. I mean, it is a performance. We're talking for an hour and a half of not only trying to educate, but we're trying to be entertaining and keep people alert and momentum going. And then you're also dealing with all the noise that's happening around there. But I really try to ground myself and block out whatever spiritual or physical noise that comes. But I've tried cleansings and stuff like that after, and I always recover, but it is very draining, I think, when you go looking for any type of thing. And I think most people are sensitive. We just don't know, a lot of people freak out when they use the word psychic. I just think that we all have our special gifts, and some people are more sensitive to others, what some people might call intuition or gut feeling. Other people might call psychic.
What's like your favorite tour to give? Like, which one's your ultimate favorite area to go to in San Juan?
So my favorite house on the tour, I'm a huge lover of film, and I actually work in television.
Oh, okay.
But and one of my favorite things I love to do is every time I am put on a new lot, I love to make friends with the security guards because they have the best ghost stories, and they'll tell you what's legit. And you will usually get these big buff dudes who work graveyard, and they'll be like, "No, I don't
even go in that room." Yeah.
I've seen some stuff. But it's not necessarily for it being the most ghosty story, but there is a house on Los Rios Street that the California bandit Joaquin Murrieta was hidden in the attic.
That sounds familiar.
Well, the legend of Zorro was birthed from his story.
No way.
And a lot of people don't know, but they actually used to shoot a lot of silent films down in San Juan Capistrano in the 10s through the 20s.
Oh.
And there was a gentleman who was a silent film actor named Douglas Fairbanks, who was the original Zorro. And it all kind of ties together, the spooky stories and California history and film history. So I think that's my favorite house. But I think the spirit that people tell me that they see the most from residents that actually live in San Juan is the Lady in White.
Is that the Llorona?
No, it's not the La Llorona. No, I do talk about the La Llorona.
La Llorona.
And in fact, some people, I had a guy this last week he was like, we're not going to go walk down towards the creek. And I said, no, you want to go looking for the La Llorona? He's like, yeah. I'm like, I bet you say Candyman in the mirror too, don't you? He's like, yeah. But the Lady in White, La Llorona is more of a feared spirit.
Yeah.
She's known for being she's known for if you stumble upon her, you could lose your life. But the Lady in White is seen as a kind and gentle spirit. And she's just known for being seen all throughout San Juan Capistrano. And a lot of people will tell me that they, because, a lot of people have horses and stuff like that. They'll tell me that they've seen her as they were riding their horse. But one of my favorite things about the tour is I get people that just look like you or myself who will say, no, I've seen this.
Oh.
I've seen this. But actually, I don't know if you're aware, but they actually built J. Sarah High School right on top of Indigenous burial grounds.
I did not know this.
I did not know that either.
Yeah. So I had a gentleman who was the tennis coach at J. Sarah. I think it was when Pam was on my tour. I'm not sure. But he told me that, oh yeah, he said everything that I said on the tour is legit. And he said not only has he had experiences, and he said he didn't believe in this kind of thing, but he said a lot of the faculty have had experiences there. So much so that they contacted the television show Ghost Adventures.
Oh my gosh. Awesome.
But being a Catholic high school, they don't want that type of attention from
and
being known as being haunted.
Because it's in a private also?
It's private. And then they also, like I said, they built their football field on top of indigenous land. And it was a huge fight with the Ahashiman tribe at the time. But which is interesting because the mission did allow ghost hunters film there.
Oh,
I'm going to say it was like 10 years ago.
Oh.
Yeah, you can still find it on, I think it's on Max or Discovery or whatever.
They should bring it back.
Yeah.
I've heard like people say in San Juan there's still like a lot of brujas. Witches.
I don't know about today, but if there are, they are not out because and it gets tricky too with the tours is that because obviously if you're on my tour, you can't be that religious because if you're on a haunted tour, then
sort
you're
of contradictory
right,
to what, yeah.
Right. But some people that were, if you're really extremely Catholic, you shun this type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But there were known brujas of the time, which dates back to the 1800s, mid 1800s. But the only reason they called them that was because they used their natural herbs and curios. They were indigenous.
So,
and just like a curandera or, they use their herbs and their curios to help heal people. Well, when you bring in the Catholic part, you're going to say, oh, that's blasphemy.
I get what you're saying.
Satan. That's not, but now, it's just holistic.
Yeah, natural healing, right?
Right. But at the time, imagine, in the 1776 or whenever the Spanish established the mission, that was Satan, and the Spanish wanted full control. They're not gonna let the Hashimin have any say, unfortunately.
Yeah, those were some pretty dark days.
Yeah.
Back
California
in the day.
has our own dark history, and we're not as old as Europe and the East Coast, but
So growing up, I used to be convinced that there was this old man looking at me from the TV, not mean or aggressive or anything, but just this old man staring at me. And I would sit there and my door's right here, and I'm trying to show the ghost or whatever that I'm sleeping and everything's fine, but I'm like, I'm going to trick this guy and I'm going to bolt into my parents' room and let them know that I'm being watched. So one day I'm looking at this guy and I'm just building up the courage. I'm going to book it. I'm going to tell somebody we're going to resolve this whole thing, right? Well, it moves back into the upper corner of the room, which was just pitch black, and then telescopes at me. It was the wildest thing. And then I felt sick.
wow.
And so I ran into my parents' room. I told my mom, and she was like, "You're insane. This is why we don't have ice cream before bed. Go lay down. It's going to be fine. Drink some water.
No
You're
more
okay."
Robitussin for you.
Yeah. Well, so I ended up going back to sleep. Mom told me I was crazy. I was crazy. She comes running into my room in the middle of the night, shaking, sick. Same thing. She's like, "Are you still feeling sick?" I said, "Yeah, I threw up in the bathroom already before I went back to bed. You told me I was crazy. I must have ate something."
Wow.
She was like, "No, the same exact thing you just described to me happened." So she looked into it for years. And then finally one day she calls me and, "Do you remember when this happened?" "Yeah, I remember that. What? Why are you bringing that up again?" "Well, there is all this lore about it. They're called shadow people. These are like dark, bad energy entities that, they only come to certain people under certain circumstances." I don't remember the details of it, but that was always like the most intense sort of spiritual experience I ever had. And it was really odd that it happened to both of us that night.
That's crazy.
Was that the house that had the laundromat?
Yep. So you thought I was
Laundromat?
the laundry room. Yeah. We didn't allow the neighbors to.
You had to use quarters to do the laundry.
Neighbors are calling me, "Hey, can I come over?" "Yeah, you have to have all the quarters this time. I'm not spotting you, your quarters."
I've heard a lot of things about that in Costa Mesa by Mastros,
Ooh.
the where people go do wedding photos. They have like, what is it called? By Cigar Storm. It's kind of hidden. They have like water, like different layouts of like kind of like where you could do photos.
Oh, I didn't
A lot of
know.
people say people go do witchcraft there or like play with the Ouija board. You never heard of that?
I've never heard that, but growing up, because I went to El Toro High School, Black Star Canyon, which
totally haunted.
haunted Orange County. Joel does the tour for Black Star Canyon. But in high school, that was the stigma. That's where the devil worshippers would go, and the heavy metal people. That's what the stories were when I was growing up. But it has its own crazy. I believe that people really do rituals in Black Star Canyon.
Well, my cousin and I actually went to Black Star Canyon one night because we had always heard those same stories too. The devil worshippers are there. All kinds of crazy things happen out there. So we were feeling brave, figured the two of us were going to go out there and check it out.
No way.
I think I had like a pocket knife or something that I was like, I even knew what I was going to do with it to a ghost or a devil worshipper. But we're walking through, it's pitch black. We didn't have flashlights, didn't want to draw attention to ourselves. And these guys were all like yelling something. They could have been having a party for all I
Right.
know. I mean, I was young, so it was terrifying. We hightailed it back to the car, went and told all of our friends, yeah, we devil worshippers surrounded us, made up this whole crazy story. But it was really weird that those guys were out there in the pitch black in the middle of the night doing whatever the hell they would be doing.
Yeah. So back in the Wild Wild West days of the 1850s, there actually was a California bandit named Juan Flores. And he actually not only raided and tried to take over and do bad things in San Juan, but he pretty much was chased all throughout Orange County and the Saddleback Mountains. And I know that I believe he was over in Black Star Canyon as well, but they ended up having like a shootout where the 133 and the 405 freeway meet.
Oh.
Him and his gang, and they ended up shooting and killing LA Sheriff James Barton at the time. But he eventually was just chased all through up towards LA, and they hung him where part of what the 101 freeway is now. So
These stories are crazy.
yeah,
Can you imagine growing up in a time like that?
no.
Somebody bumped into me. I got to go shoot him in the street now.
Yeah.
I'll be right back. Hold my beer.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like that nowadays. I mean, things
Yeah,
get crazy.
we're not much less crazy.
People need love.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
everybody.
much
We need
love.
tacos. Tacos makes everything better.
Yeah.
Seriously, if they had some margaritas and tacos, they'd probably be a little
And
less
they need a
inclined to do
big
the duel.
hug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually had I have never seen an actual ghost except for one time. And I was working on a television show. We were shooting on a studio, but nowadays not everything has to be like a Warner Brothers or like a old historical. It was a man-made, it was a warehouse that they turned into a studio. And I was walking backstage, and I was tired, and as soon as I cleared a certain area, a sensor light went on. And just in my delirious of being tired and the light going on, I went, thank you for whatever, turned on the light. And at that same moment, I saw a figure in front of the light with like a, from the Tombstone era brimmed hat.
Oh, yeah.
And I could see the outline of the shoulders and the coat. And I stopped and I was like, did I really just see that? And I was really taken aback because for my whole life, watching scary movies and stuff, and I've never seen anything, and I just saw something. So I ran up to the hair and makeup room, and I was like, oh my God. I was like, I just saw a ghost. But I didn't tell anybody what it looked like. So the next day, I'm doing whatever, and one of the actor's assistants comes up to me, and she says, I heard what you saw. And she said, I've seen him too. And she described him, and it was exactly the same person.
Right.
So I went and found whoever the caretaker of the property management was. And I said, do you know any history about this place? And he was like, didn't you see what's on the other side of that wall? And I was like, no, because I get there when it's dark and I leave when it's dark. He goes, that's Forest Lawn Cemetery.
Oh.
And I was like, oh. I was like, okay. So there's actually a lot of cemeteries in San Juan that people aren't aware of. And a lot of times when I tell people, oh, this is what I do, I give, the historical ghost tours in San Juan, they'll say, San Juan's haunted? Well, California's haunted. But back in the day, there was a lot more cemeteries. And even in Los Angeles, there was a lot more cemeteries than what we know of as today. I mean, only with progress did they come and they pave roads and stuff like that. But
Right.
when they have to pave the roads, if there's bodies buried there, what did they do?
Those are all exhumed.
They're either exhumed or they're left.
Mm-hmm.
And so what happened is there's a couple different cemeteries in San Juan, and they did move some of them, but the mission occupied so much of the space that not all of them were moved. It's kind of like in the movie Poltergeist, where they're just people. So roads were made, and buildings are on top of them now. So a lot of people don't actually understand that. And even in San Diego, if you walk in Old Town on the sidewalks, you'll see these little round circles on the sidewalks. Well, that's marks where a grave is, because they actually put the sidewalk over people.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
I don't think I would be able to work for a construction company and knowingly pave a road right over a bunch of graves, knowing that weird things happen when we do that.
I had a guy this last night who told me he worked construction for a long time in San Juan, and he was telling me that over by the Mission, there was some place that I should go, because he said that a lot of the workers had a lot of experiences when years ago they were, I think it's a school now, another, not J. Sarah, but it's another school. And he said that a lot of them had experiences, but again, it was all cemetery.
Yeah, well, imagine there have to be so many cemeteries.
Yeah, but I mean, they weren't all neat and gated off like today,
No.
you know? Sometimes people would die over there, and it used to just all be wild land and dirt, so they would bury them, put up a cross or a grave or whatever, and...
Yeah, and the old cemetery of San Juan, a lot of people don't know, the old Mission Cemetery is across the 5 freeway, and it's like you'd never know it's there. It's in some business park. It's just kind of hidden, but it's nothing what we're used to. It's literally like the stick crosses, like we would see in the movie Pet Sematary. It's not anything elaborate like what we seem to see today.
Yeah.
And that's where they buried a lot of the Indigenous from the Mission era and stuff like that.
Is there any stories that you know from like Santa Ana?
I don't know of any ghost stories in Santa Ana, but I do know that the Yost Theater, I've been wanting to get in there for a long time, because the Yost Theater is supposed to be really haunted. In fact, a lot of people don't know that back in the 1920, it was actually a vaudeville theater. So, and they used to show a lot of silent films there. But a lot of people have had experiences there. And then now there's a little venue that is attached to it, but I forget what it used to be called, but now it's a wedding venue. But that place was supposed to be more haunted than the Yost.
And they do like events at the Yost. Or clubs too.
Yeah. I used to go back in the day. They used to have like MMA fights.
Oh yeah.
MMA fights there. And I used to go, but I didn't know the history at the time. And if I would have known, I would have tried to have like gotten backstage.
That would have been so cool.
Yeah.
We're gonna need to get a tour bus, a TacoTuesday.com. No, the TacoTuesday.com truck, and take her around. Like, what's it?
Yeah, I'm
down.
for it. I'm
down.
for it.
I got nothing going on after this.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and LA has a lot of haunted history too. And Haunted Orange County just started a Hollywood ghost walk.
In the hills.
Not in the hills,
Hollywood
on Hollywood Boulevard, I guess it is. At least I think Charles starts at the Pantages and then they end at the Roosevelt. But
The Roosevelt. I've been to the Marilyn Monroe suite where she used to stay. And people would say stuff, but when there was the event, I went up there and I went in because I wanted to see the room.
I do too.
The energy was, you could feel like, we didn't stay long.
Yeah. No, I love it. If you guys ever want to go somewhere that is haunted, I'm down. Call me.
Deal. Yeah. I was talking about being a history nerd earlier. I've always wanted to go to like old battlefields from like World War I and World War II because, you know, some people go there with metal detectors, find bullet casings, dog tags, whatever, canteens, whatever. But almost everybody that goes there says that they feel that energy if you're any amount open to something like that at all, that you feel it.
Yeah.
And there's a place, Bella Wood in particular, where the Marines fought the Germans, and it was just a big wheat field. And there's still things, the earth is still spitting up, you know, pieces of war, you know, weapons, skeletons, all kinds of stuff. I have wanted to go there forever, and I want to convince my wife to go with me. She's like, oh, you want to go to France? Cool, let's go to Paris. I'm like, no, it's like 8-hour train ride away from there, and then we got to hike 3 miles. She's like, that is not a vacation.
Yeah.
I mean, I need to teach you how to vacation.
Just how we'll end up in Paris.
Yeah.
I think I'm just going to need to go there by myself one of these days, though. There's something to be said where people, you know, on hallowed ground, you know, cemeteries, battlefields, anything like that.
Yeah,
It is weird that these spirits or ghosts or whatever you want to call it would still be walking around in presumably the worst time of their life, or at least the very end of their life.
Yeah.
There's a lot. Have you ever been to New York?
I have,
9/11.
but in January, it was before 9/11 in January, where it was like the coldest winter like they had ever had.
I went to the memorial, so you could feel
that'd be pretty heavy.
So much. Like we didn't even say. We're like, no.
Have you ever been to the South? I've been to New Orleans.
No.
I've been to New Orleans a couple times, but they have amazing ghost tours, and highly recommend if you can go in October. Go in October. I don't know why, but there's just a different energy in October through Christmas that is not in the other months. I don't know how to explain it, but have you ever walked in? If you're sensitive and you walk into Disneyland, doesn't Disneyland just make you happy?
Yes.
Like it just does. Just like in October, there's just a certain energy. I don't know if it's because when we were kids, it has a certain nostalgic, but the energy is just different.
Yeah.
No, I totally agree with you.
I think you could have a bad day and go to Disneyland and you'll be happy.
Yeah, but there is something to be said about October.
There is.
I mean, even doing ordinary things, it's spirits are active or something.
Well, they say the veil's thin.
Or you could just go to TacoTuesday.com.
I don't know how spooky it is, but
be happy.
A lot of tacos and tequila.
Like these were Chella's tacos. This is Chella's taco
It's
kit
delicious.
for $60. How many does it feed?
Yeah, so it's Chella's. They do this awesome kit. Feeds about 4 to 6 people. It's $60. You get a bunch of chips. You get rice and beans, salsa, guacamole. You can have chicken, carnitas, beef. It's pretty great. I mean, it's kind of one of our go-tos here in the podcast.
Where are they? Because
She's in San Clemente.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she's a good friend of TacoTuesday.com, we'll say. Yeah, so.
Delicious.
Carla, thank you once again. We appreciate you.
Yes, Alan likes them too, right, Alan?
Yeah.
Our new TacoTuesday.com.
Buddy. Yeah, so this is, which one do we have here? The Hatch chili salsa.
Ooh.
Oh, we had those jelly beans too.
I think they're under your pillow.
Are they under my pillow? There's always surprises.
I was afraid they were like ghost peppers or something. So I was like, is this a trick?
Yeah, these are pretty unusual flavors. We've got margarita, churro, salsa, guacamole, beef taco,
Oh wow!
and horchata. Yeah, I like some of these flavors, but will they translate
Into
to
a jelly bean?
Jelly bean?
What's one of your favorite taco spots? Your go-to?
So, where I live in Lake Forest, we have Baja Fish.
Wait, you're where I'm at.
And I'm at Baja Fish all the time. But Javier's.
Oh,
Javier's has some amazing tacos, but also the El Adobe in San Juan Capistrano. They have some pretty amazing tacos.
Excellent choices.
Yeah.
my first one was good.
That was really good.
What one did you get?
It must have been horchata.
It had to be margarita.
Oh, wow.
Let's see.
That's margarita.
Wait, that's pretty good also. It's if it was beef taco, it's good.
Guacamole? Did you get
Oh, it's
guacamole?
guacamole, yeah.
Oh. I want to know, how did they recreate that?
Oh my god, mine's are good. What?
That is kind of
Here,
an emotional
you want a
experience. Wow.
lime?
That
No,
had to
thank
be.
you.
Oh, that had to be churro because it's sweet. Last one.
Nobody got beef taco yet?
Oh, that had to be beef taco.
Beef taco? Did it taste like it?
That is so weird. You just got beef taco too.
Oh, it tastes like a I taste more like the taco shell.
This is an unusual kind of thing we do on the podcast, eating jelly beans.
Wait, but the first ones were really good. It tastes like a jelly bean.
You never want to start with horchata and work your way to beef taco.
Yeah, no.
I think that one's good. Is it? No.
Now there's another beef taco. I'm done with the jelly beans. Anyway, I don't even know what to say about the jelly beans. That's really something.
Could people follow you on social media, or do you have your personal social media, or no?
Yeah, you can find me at I am badass legs.
Oh.
Yes, on Instagram. And follow Haunted Orange County or Haunted OC on Instagram and find out all about our tours and our events and things that we do.
What was that, buddy? Alan and I are in. We just
and you guys
discussed
have
it.
to come on my tour.
Yes.
Yeah,
And we'll
whenever.
bring Alan.
Yeah.
We
That
could
sounds
And then
like
we'll
a
go to
good
the
time.
El Adobe and we'll eat.
Yeah, we'll take the TacoTuesday.com truck.
Cool. So I'm going to call you tomorrow morning. We're going to get this scheduled and make this happen.
Absolutely.
Thank you for coming on.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Yeah, I hope you enjoyed the podcast. That was always such an interesting
loved it.
experience.
Yeah.
TacoTuesday.com.
Oh.
Alan's saying peace out.
Yeah, so cheers, everyone. Thank you guys so much for coming to another TacoTuesday.com podcast with us. Happy Halloween. Go get
Halloween.
some tacos. Go get scared. Go on a haunted tour. We'll see you next time.
TacoTuesday.com.